Commentary comes from Martin Brundle and David Croft.
And we've reached the penultimate round then in the 2017 Formula One season. Welcome along to Sao Paulo, welcome along to Interlagos and the Brazilian Grand Prix. Won from pole position, 13 of the 34 races in this part of Sao Paulo, but more crucially for the last 4 years as well. And where Valtteri Bottas for Mercedes-Benz keeps up their impressive recent record here by starting on pole this afternoon. The Autodromo José Carlos Pache, it is one of the iconic tracks on the Formula One calendar, 2.67 miles long, big elevation changes, very fast straights, some very tight twisty corners as well, and as ever a passionate crowd packed into the grandstands. 2 DRS zones to try and help overtaking along the main straight towards the first turn and down the Reta Aposta as well. Interlagos, between 2 lakes, there is water out there somewhere, there is bright blue sky as well, and 4 minutes to go, Martin Brundle, before one of the most anticipated races on each year's calendar.
It usually throws up a few surprises here, doesn't it? And we know Vettel's got problems down there on the grid. They're busy trying to sort out. Risk of rain in this session, 0%. And track temperature, 60 degrees, 10 even higher than we saw in free practice. So the drivers have got a lot of learning to do in the first few corners and laps of this Grand Prix. And this man could well be coming out of the pit lane exit as the last of the field going to turn 4. So it's a very, very unusual pit exit here, very long, longest of the year, and that is going to make it ever more difficult for Lewis Hamilton.
So Valtteri Bottas, for the 3rd time in his career, starts on pole. For the 14th time this season, Sebastian Vettel is on the front row. Kimi Räikkönen and Max Verstappen make up the second row, Verstappen starting 4th for the 2nd year running. Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso have their best starts of the season. Alonso hasn't been this high on the grid since 2014 in America. It's the 2 Renaults of Hülkenberg and Sainz alongside each other, with Felipe Massa in his 14th and last home Grand Prix, with Esteban Ocon for company on row 5. Romain Grosjean for Haas has his best start of the season alongside Stoffel Van Dorn for McLaren. Kevin Magnussen keeps Daniel Ricciardo company. A 10-place penalty for Ricciardo for taking on new power unit elements. Lance Stroll had a gearbox change, that's why he took a penalty, and he's ahead of Marcus Ericsson because the Sauber put a new gearbox in this morning. Brendan Hartley and his teammate Pierre Gasly also take power unit penalties as well, and Lewis Hamilton will start from the pit lane. The man who came 3rd here from 17th on the grid in 2009 has it all to do today, and the Mercedes team saying, well, if we get a safety car, we might be on the podium then, otherwise not much chance.
No, but then Niki Lauda said to us in the pre-show, basically paraphrase, if he gets on with it, we think he can be on the podium. Lewis back in Mexico had to be quite cautious. He had a damaged car as well, and he didn't seem that feisty, but he won the World Championship, so he only had to do a certain amount that day with Vettel out of position 2.
I'll go through the normal stuff in a second, but just to bring you up to speed where we are. Reason why all the fuss earlier was we saw an issue with the telemetry signal, maybe being a bit weak, so we're worried we might lose telemetry in the race. We did then have problems connecting to the car, however that seems to have resolved itself.
So it's more an indication that the team were a bit concerned they wouldn't get all the information they wanted. And there is Dave Greenwood on the grid, Kimi's race engineer, more so than actually we think we've got a problem with the car itself.
Don't worry, he knows what he's doing, and sort of information that Kimi will go, yeah, well, okay, no problem. and off he will go. So, yeah, it's a short run to the first corner. Bottas just needs a normal start. Christian Horner said to me yesterday, I'm pretty sure Max Verstappen, he starts 4th, he won't be in 4th on the end of the first lap.
Well, that's a good point. Verstappen, Raikkonen, Vettel, you can't see those 3 worrying too much about what Valtteri Bottas is doing.
Potentially it's an issue with Raikkonen. I don't know, it looks like that might have been resolved, but they look like they had some trouble with Raikkonen. But potentially resolved now. Just keep an eye out.
Perez getting the instructions from his race engineer. The 3 behind Bottas, hardly drivers that you would anticipate are going to worry too much about what the Finn is doing, but is Valtteri Bottas the more worried of that quartet, and does that make him a little more anxious, cautious maybe, going into that first turn?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, but you can't win a race on the first corner to an extent. You can lose it, and I don't know, Verstappen got his elbows out and managed to win Mexico, but he had so much speed, he was going to win anyway.
That's Sebastian Vettel getting away an awful lot slower than you would normally expect, just for the formation lap.
Doesn't matter as long as he doesn't drop to the tail end of the field. So I always think it's odd here, but when you start in the pit lane, you're not allowed a formation lap. So everything, you get to the end of the pit lane, you're totally cold. Well, not totally cold, because they can warm them up in the garage these days, but it always strikes me, and you're not really allowed to go round and, you know, in a normal lap.
Okay, guys, I'm here, and the lap going to the grid. Just an amazing feeling to have here in Brazil for my last race in Formula 1. The only thing I can say is thank you very much to all of you guys. I love you. I love you for everything that you guys did for me. So, really thank you very much.
One of the 31 Brazilian drivers to race in Formula 1, Felipe Massa, and there's his proud dad at the back of the Williams garage, his brother here too as well. There will be tears today, but I hope there'll be tears of happiness, and Felipe Massa at least in the points by the checkered flag.
Such a lovely family, such a lovely guy. What you see is what you get with him, and you know, we had the full dress rehearsal last year, didn't we, for this moment, when we thought Felipe was leaving Formula 1 then, doing his final Brazilian Grand Prix, but this time it's for real.
So the championship's done and dusted. Sebastian Vettel can wrap up second place in the title today if he outscores Valtteri Bottas by 10 points. Otherwise, it will go to Abu Dhabi and the last race of the season. Verstappen can still overhaul Kimi Raikkonen. Perez and Ocon have got a great battle at Force India. And in the Constructors' Championship, well, there's plenty at stake if you're the likes of Williams, Toro Rosso, Renault and Haas. 5th down to 8th, and all the millions in prize money difference that one position loss or 2 positions gained might make. Uphill starts here, Martin, as well. Never easy for the drivers when you've got that to contend with.
Yeah, so let's see.
Nice to get the car ready, guys.
It's a downhill start actually towards the back of the grid, and very much an uphill start, as you can see for yourselves, at the front of the grid. They can cover the brake with their left foot, of course, because it's a hand clutch on these cars, and there's a double phase to releasing that clutch. It's all very critical. And there's Lewis then having to wait for the noise that will appear over his right shoulder out of sight, the other side of that wall, and then he'll have to wait very patiently until somebody decides he can join in and play.
Starts from the pit lane because of a new internal combustion engine turbocharger, an MGUH that's been fitted overnight after he crashed in qualifying. There's a Mercedes at the back, there's a Mercedes at the front. And it's lights out, away we go. Sebastian Vettel gets the better start, and towards turn 1 they head now, with Kimi Raikkonen and Max Verstappen jostling, and Vettel on the inside, getting past Valtteri Bottas. There's lockups behind, but they all seem to get through the first corner okay. Sebastian Vettel leads Valtteri Bottas, Kimi Raikkonen, Max Verstappen, and Fernando Alonso, and there's Daniel Ricciardo spinning out towards the back, getting caught up through the Cenarettes. Down the Retroposta now to Desquino do Lago. Vettel leads from Bottas.
Ricciardo, of course, starting from P14 with that engine penalty, and that's why he was back down there, but he looks like he could get going again without any damage.
There's the 2 Renaults dueling away. Carlos Sainz trying to find a way past his teammate Hulkenberg, and Esteban Ocon and Romain Grosjean collide, and Esteban Ocon out of the race after 27 consecutive finishes. Esteban Ocon is out. He's got a puncture, and he won't finish here in Brazil.
And the safety car was already deployed before that incident happened. Safety car had been called out, presumably, for whatever went on in the first...
Any damage question?
Not sure. I'll keep going.
Understood.
So they all slow down now for this moment. Esteban Ocon going round the outside of Grosjean. Grosjean collides with Ocon. We've seen cars spinning out there before.
Oh, so Grosjean got a dollop of oversteer in the middle of the corner and straight into the side of the Force India. Seems bizarre, doesn't it? That
this is Ricciardo. Who's he get hit by? Is that Van Dorn, the car behind him?
I'm not entirely sure he did get hit, or whether he went across the curb.
See, look, there's Van Dorn.
Yeah.
I think he did get hit by the McLaren.
And that's why the safety car was deployed then, because of the stricken McLaren.
And that is Esteban Ocon trying to make his way back. Look, for all intents and purposes, that he was out of the race. I'd rather get the feeling he is, Martin. He's not going to get that back.
No, I'm not sure I can drive back.
And the reason he can't drive back is he's got 2 punctures.
Yeah.
So the undertrain will be on the deck, but he can't turn the car.
So the safety car leading everyone through the pit lane. I would imagine there's a bit of debris through the center S's, and they can avoid that by going through the pit lane.
Well, they avoid the McLaren at that point, don't they? They can have a look and get some tyres changed on Daniel Ricciardo as well, for good measure. And Hamilton drives through the pit lane, and it's played into his hands rather well, hasn't it?
Well, it has. He's already up into 14th place. Dare say he wouldn't mind a safety car a little bit later into this race, but he's certainly making gains. And Stoffel van Dorn is out with 600 fans at the McLaren Technology Centre having their fan day today, hoping to cheer him on. Probably half of them groaning now because one of the McLarens is out. Good afternoon to you if you're watching at the MTC today. And Kevin Magnussen out as well. And I wonder if Magnussen was involved in that Ricciardo incident, the Ricciardo van Dorn incident. We've only really seen it on board Daniel Ricciardo's car, but I think he might have got caught up in that as well.
And Gasly and Hartley from the back row of the grid are up to 10th and 12th respectively.
They've made gains at the right time there. Esteban Ocon. Someone might need to find that man a deck chair, because he could be there, Martin, for quite some time. Finding your way back to the pit lane of the paddock is not easy from the infield here.
Perhaps the snakes, all sorts of animals that are out there.
You keep telling me about these snakes. I've never seen one of them yet, but they are there apparently.
Jimmy said they found a cobra out there. Really? Our sound man said they found a cobra out there on Thursday.
Oh, he's a big, brave Aussie. He knows how to deal with snakes like that. I fancy coming across one of them myself. So Hamilton up then into 14th place, and we can look at the start once again.
Well, that was interesting, because from that angle, Bottas got the better start. But the second phase, when you've got to release that second clutch, it was the Ferrari that accelerated better, but Bottas actually got away on that camera angle. And at the back there, so we see Ricciardo going around the outside. No, Ricciardo dropped it on the curb.
Yeah.
It wasn't contact.
Magnussen made contact with Van Dorn, and Ricciardo, as you rightly say, spun out from the curb. It looked like Vettel got away best of all from the outset, but I think you're right, Martin. Subsequent angles have proved different. And very nice for Sebastian Vettel to thread his way past the Mercedes. And this got very, very close indeed going into turn one.
It's the trouble when you're down with the kids with that music. Ricciardo should have been listening to Deep Purple.
Well, he was no highway star there, was he?
No, that's a fact.
So Ricciardo spinning out.
Don't believe there was any contact, but we're about to find out if I'm right or not. But Van Dorn's gone right down the middle very nicely indeed.
I got squeezed. Copy. Is the car okay?
Oh, he did listen, so I was wrong.
Yeah.
So we're looking back in the pack. Danny Rick trying to go round the outside.
Magnussen hit Van Dorn, hit Ricciardo.
Yeah.
Tyre smoke on the water.
They tried to give him plenty of space out there. And this is Grosjean not wanting to yield. He's left him space. Ocon's busy trying not to spin off himself. And unfortunately on the inside, Grosjean ran out of grip, then talent, and straight into the side of him.
So Force India picking up only their second retirement of the year for either of their cars. And Stoffel van Dorn, who went into this race with only one retirement in the last 12 races, is trying to find a way back to the pit lane.
It's the head and neck safety device, the hands device, hanging away from the crash helmet there, that's attached with two straps.
Is he allowed to cross the track?
If the marshal says you can cross, or a track official says you can cross the track, yes.
So once again, we're going to go through the pit lane here, which might just give Van Dorn a chance to get across the track here. So Kevin Magnussen out. Romain Grosjean, who crashed on his way to the grid here 12 months ago, involved in another accident, this time on the first lap of the race, running down to 16th. Hardly the best 65th birthday present that Gene Haas could have wished for this afternoon.
And they really fancied their chances too this afternoon with the scrap that is the midfield, but Phil Massa up into 6th. That was a great start from him as well. For Williams.
Yeah, Perez losing out, Hulkenberg and Sainz dropping down a place as well. Alonso got a bit squeezed by Max Verstappen, but managed to hold on to his position. He's running 5th, as you can see. Kimi Räikkönen ahead of Verstappen, Vettel ahead of Bottas.
Grosjean
Wehrlein and Ricciardo have pitted, they may try and go to the end from here.
Well, they've pitted, Grosjean and Ricciardo, to put the soft compound tyre on. Now, Pirelli is saying, Martin, 45 laps of a lifespan for the soft compound tyre. We've got 71 laps, 67 of which still to be completed. That's quite...
Sounds ambitious, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But time will tell.
The incident involving Van Dorn, Ricciardo and Magnussen has been noted by the stewards. We'll see if they turn that notification into an investigation.
They can't. That's a racing incident. First corner start. If they get penalised, then it is that sets a precedent that will be very difficult to follow from here on. A bit like allowing Verstappen to overtake off the track in Austin, forgetting who it was, when it was, last lap or whatever. As soon as that's a can of worms. As soon as you, and 5 wrongs don't make a right in that race, you cannot let drivers.
What about Grosjean and Ocon, though? Is that still a racing incident?
I believe it is. They were racing side by side, and Grosjean has oversteered into his teammate. Ocon was trying to go around the outside. It's a first lap racing incident.
Yeah, and that's 27 races from the start of his Formula 1 career to now that he's seen the checkered flag. Esteban Ocon completed every single race this year alongside Lewis Hamilton, the only 2 drivers that have completed every single race. But like Max Chilton, the previous record holder for those consecutive starts, crashing on the first lap. That's it, to end that streak. It has to come eventually.
I say all these things in the absolute hope I will never be invited to be a driver steward, because I think that is the worst unpaid job in the world.
Derek Warwick, the driver steward, who's got the lucky task then for this particular race.
Good news for Renault, of course. Ooh, if Renault beat Toro Rosso in the championship, after all that's been said this weekend.
If you haven't been with us all weekend long, Alan Prost has been acting as a peacemaker. Jerome Stroll, I think, has as well. Toro Rosso basically responding to...
How are the track conditions, Max?
Yeah, sunny.
Yeah, any more debris left?
No.
Just enjoying every Sunday afternoon, isn't he? Toro Rosso responding to comments made by Cyril Abiteboul at Renault and saying, yeah, it's not to do with our installation as to why your engines are going wrong. It's to do with the fact that your engines aren't up to the job. And we had a bit of a tete-a-tete, shall we say, in the paddock yesterday. Safety car has gone in. We'll talk about that maybe in a little while. And Sebastian Vettel going nice and slowly, backing the pack up, waiting to get the jump, let the safety car go as far away as he possibly can, because when he puts that foot down, he is going to want to lead them now round Junsao and all the way up that straight towards the first corner, and there are possibilities for overtaking here, Martin.
No DRS yet for a couple of laps, of course, but he was trying to back the Mercedes into his teammate, hoping that Raikkonen might get a slipstream on him and get a chance for a Ferrari 1-2.
Well, Raikkonen might be gaining, but certainly behind. Felipe Massa is gaining on Fernando Alonso, and this time Felipe is faster than you, Fernando, and he makes his move up into 5th place. Sebastian Vettel leads from Valtteri Bottas, Kimi Raikkonen, Verstappen, Massa, Alonso, then comes Perez, Hülkenberg and Sainz, and Lewis Hamilton now up into 13th place. He's managed to get past Romain Grosjean.
Mercedes looking very good on the front end on the restart as Hamilton starts to try to carefully pick his way through an angry pack. Stroll there up into 12th place as well in the second. Williams, we saw them snaking all over the place. They tried to apply the power, and that's a dangerous place to be. Can he make it stick? Of course, that is very brave of Lewis. That's where he went off, of course, in qualifying. Job done.
Current Formula 1 world champion, trusting there the current world endurance champion, Brendan Hartley, that he didn't go too far to the left-hand side. Hamilton gets past the Kiwi, now up into 13th, and has got Lance Stroll very much in his sights as Sebastian Vettel opens up that advantage on Valtteri Bottas. Verstappen sticking there very nicely with Kimi Raikkonen, and Felipe Massa in a really good position to have a very enjoyable final Brazilian Grand Prix. He's got past Felipe Massa and he's into the top 5.
Alonso came to the inside to cover the line, but he had no answer for the Mercedes that's sitting behind Felipe Massa. And and he got the job done easily. I can imagine there would have been. Oh, look at Perez fancies a go on the Spaniard as well.
And Hamilton fancies a go on Lance Stroll going into turn one. Hamilton manages to get past Lance Stroll. He has gone from pit lane now up into 12th place. Sergio Perez, meanwhile, still behind Fernando Alonso as he pressures the McLaren. On board now with Daniel Ricciardo, and he's got Pascal Wehrlein in his sights, going down towards Esquido de Lago. On the inside goes Daniel Ricciardo past the Sauber. Thank you very much, and he's still going in this race, and up now into 15th place. Meanwhile, back on board with Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton has got past Lance Stroll, as we saw, now has Marcus Ericsson just ahead of him.
He's had a good start as well, hasn't he, Ericsson, in the Sauber. And, oh, look at the understeer, look at the front sliding on the Mercedes in the turbulent air coming off the back of the other cars. Wow, he was nearly heading onto the grass there, and we know this Mercedes is not a great car in the traffic. No. Its advantages aerodynamically all seem to be in clear air. They struggle more than any other car when it comes to picking their way through traffic.
So, new engine for Lewis Hamilton, 2016 Ferrari engine on the Sauber. Which one wins out this battle, do you think? Already, Hamilton is up to the back wheels of Ericsson. He's now alongside and now past, and into turn one he goes. He's on the fringes of the points into 11th place.
A low more understeer there for Hamilton. It'll be hurting his tyres a bit, but of course he's got a brand new engine in. They took that, they put an engine in while they knew they were starting from the pit lane anyway, and that he can really turn that motor up with only 2 races to go this season.
They're not exactly conserving the life on that particular engine, are they? So we can watch now Hamilton once again breezing past the Sauber. And these are relatively easy pickings in the early stages. It's when he comes up alongside the likes of Sainz and Hülkenberg, that's when it's going to get a bit tough.
It will, but if he can save his battery, he can follow them through the midfield, save all of his goodies and sweeties for...
Okay, understood. We're looking at it.
Now, Renault have taken a precautionary measure in this race as well with their turbo, which has to work quite hard here and spin rather fast because we're at altitude once again, as we were in Mexico. And after the problems that they had in Mexico, they've opted to reduce the speed that turbo is spinning. Let's just watch Hamilton for a moment, because he's on Pierre Gasly's tail, and he went round the inside of Ericsson. He's gone round the outside of Gasly, and Lewis Hamilton into the points at the start of lap 9. And there's Daniel Ricciardo fighting his way past his good mate Brendan Hartley. He's now got the Williams of Lance Stroll just ahead of him. Ricciardo 14th. While all this is happening, Sebastian Vettel 1.6 seconds clear of Valtteri Bottas.
Great to see 2 great drivers in fast cars coming through the pack. Raikkonen is now within DRS range of Valtteri Bottas. 3rd place man will get his rear wing open.
Okay, right-hand side tyres starting to get into the danger zone.
Super soft tyres that Nico Hülkenberg is running. So they've reduced the speed of that turbo just as a precautionary measure. What in effect it means, they'll get up, they won't lose power in terms of overall during the race, but it will take a while to use that turbo to its fullest extent along the long straight. So out of Junsao, they might be a bit vulnerable, the 2 Renaults, to the likes of a Mercedes coming up behind them.
The right-hand tyres, it's an anti-clockwise circuit, of course, so you do more lefts than rights, and the lefts like this are very high load, and that'll be temperature-wise in terms of blistering.
And as I said, a little bit susceptible maybe. Carlos Sainz certainly was. That was a lot easier than you would expect for Hamilton to get past Sainz. He's now cruising his way up into the points, and he is only 12.5 seconds off the race leader at the moment on lap 10.
His soft tyres are going well. His engine, of course, is mighty up the hill. So, as I said, as long as he can stay, he'll easily stay with them through the technical middle sector of the lap, and then just power through every time.
And those Renault precautions, by the way, not just affecting the works team. That counts for Red Bull, and that counts for Toro Rosso in this race as well. Ted Kravitz, good afternoon.
Yeah, hi Crofty, hi Martin, good afternoon everybody. And it's hurting, those Renault restrictions hurting Max Verstappen. They were trying to get him to have a go at Kimi Raikkonen.
Radio check, Brandon, radio check.
No response.
Press the radio button if you can hear me.
Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee. I think is the phrase.
I don't think he's earring him.
No, okay. So, yeah, and it's just not working for for Max Verstappen. They tried to get Raikkonen off the safety car restart, and it's just dropped back, if anything, from Kimi Raikkonen. And I just wonder whether it's Verstappen that Christian Horner, guys, was talking about in terms of the 50-50 chance of actually getting towards the end. Considering that Ricciardo's got new power unit elements, I took him to mean Max Verstappen.
There goes Daniel Ricciardo late on the brakes on the Williams, locks up a little going into turn one. It's another trademark Ricciardo move, this time on Lance Stroll, and the Australian has put that Red Bull up into 13th, whilst Lewis Hamilton, meanwhile, is now up past Nico Hülkenberg and into 8th. And Ricciardo's not stopping there. He's got the Sauber alongside him and now behind him. Ericsson is past Ricciardo's 12th.
Man on a mission, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he sees overtaking chances in the dry that don't appear to be remotely on. And he sends one up the inside, puts a lot of faith in his victim, and they all seem to play the game. And it's great, because if you get a reputation for those lunges, then the other drivers start looking out for you.
Yeah.
Nice job, mate. It's great stuff. Gasly next one.
Gasly
never heard of him, mate.
Gasly is the car you can see, and that's our race leader, Sebastian Vettel, 1.8 seconds clear of Valtteri Bottas. Kimi Raikkonen's dropped back a little bit from Bottas now. He's not within DRS range of the Mercedes. Verstappen runs 4th, Massa runs 5th, and Christian Horner's on the Red Bull pit wall and with us live this afternoon. We're rather liking the progress your boy is making. That's another trademark move he's just picked up there, Christian.
Absolutely. I mean, Daniel's one of the best overtakers in the game, and he's going to have to be this afternoon, that's for sure.
Are you a little worried once again, though, about your power unit, about your components, and these restrictions that we're told Renault have placed on their turbocharger for this afternoon?
Well, obviously, it's not a great scenario. We're very nervous about reliability and temperatures and all those things, but we've become fairly accustomed to that.
So Daniel's catching Gasly in your sister car there. Are there any sort of overriding rules of don't fight each other too hard between Toro Rosso and Red Bull?
Well, you know Franz, Martin.
Well, you know him better.
They're free to race, and they're competing on track. They're competing for position, but hopefully they'll give each other space.
He's not in the best of moods this weekend as well, Christian. I wouldn't want to be the man that asked him if they could let you past.
Yeah, it wasn't Martin that upset him this weekend. So it looks like Daniel should get a run either down to turn 1 or down to turn 4.
Well,
he's in the slipstream here.
Here he goes.
This should be, hopefully, textbook. There you go.
I don't know if you leave half his brake pads out or something, but he seems to come from about 100 metres back sometimes.
Yeah, he's last of the late breakers. That's where he's so strong, is at the end of the braking area. And as I say, he's going to need to be using that this afternoon. And on that harder tyre, he's doing a great job. And
just finally, Ted said 50-50 he was told for one of your drivers today in terms of the race. Who are you more worried by in terms of reliability, Verstappen or Ricciardo?
I think it's 50 for Ricciardo and 50 for Verstappen. So, of course, this time of year, reliability is always crucial, and we've had a run of bad luck recently, and obviously Renault got a few issues that they're nursing, but hopefully we'll be all right.
Thanks, Christian. We'll be back with you in a little while. As you can see, Sergio Perez looking in his mirrors now, has the silver arrow of Lewis Hamilton right behind him, and I don't think Force India feel their fight is really with Hamilton today, so this could be another fairly easy overtake as well. Yeah, but it's one of those pesky Mercedes customer teams, isn't it, with similar engine power. We're going to have to do it on the brakes. Well, he's got DRS, which will certainly help, and he's got a nice slipstream as well. And he goes to the inside, and Perez covers him off. And that was a good move there from Perez, but Hamilton has still gone round the outside anyway. Nice one, he says to Sergio Perez, but I'm not going to fall for it. And by the time they get through the Curva de Sol, Lewis Hamilton is up into 7th place, but Perez fighting him back, might want to go around the outside here, eventually under braking. Hamilton puts a couple of car lengths between himself and the Pink Panther. Yeah, I think he was having a bit of a go, wasn't he? But that was a done deal, basically, as they came out of the last corner. He made a late move, but fair enough. And Lewis is in a much more feisty mood for different reasons than he was in Mexico when it comes to passing the back markers. And he's like, whichever way you go, I'll go the other way and I'll still make it work. Perez trying to fight him back. As that move went down towards Esquida de Lago, he was still within that touching distance. We can switch from Hamilton in 7th back now to Daniel Ricciardo, who's got Carlos Sainz just ahead of him. And on the fringes of the points, as you can see, the Red Bull driver.
Now, Alonso's next up for Hamilton. Remember just how hard he fought Hamilton to not let him through in Mexico 2 weeks ago. And Alonso's getting the use of DRS behind Massa as well for good measure.
Here goes Ricciardo, there goes Sainz. Nice and easy. In fact, the easiest one of the three into turn one, I would estimate there. The stewards, meanwhile, have said Van Dorn, Ricciardo and Magnussen, well, you can all come and see us after the race and have a little chat about that turn two incident on the first lap. We can watch once again what it's like to sit in the Red Bull cockpits and see other cars passing you by.
I mean, for Hamilton, you're cruising along, mind your own business at 202 miles an hour, and the guy in front of you decides to change lane just as you get there.
Yeah, no good.
That's what that's all about.
Passing you by, you passing them by. You know what I mean.
Verstappen's catching back up to Raikkonen, look.
So did he just drop back a bit to...
Max, how is our pace relative to Kimi ahead?
You're faster, but I'm stuck.
Understood, thank you.
Yeah, I wonder if he dropped back, Martin, just to cool things down a little bit, and then now's a good time to pressure him. Now we're on to lap 16. Might be expecting pit stops in about 5 or 6 laps time, maybe.
Yeah, Gianpiero Lambiase there. I think they're obviously trying to work out, do they want to try and undercut him?
Yeah.
Do they want to run a bit longer? They're getting lots of data, obviously, from tyre temperatures and therefore tyre wear.
Do they want to just push him into Raikkonen into a territory that he doesn't want to go? It's a one-stop race, this. And so you'd expect to see Ricciardo stopping again.
Hamilton was 2.4 seconds behind Alonso on that lap, and I imagine Alonso will be defenceless in terms of power at the top of the hill here underneath our com box, Crofty. But of course, we know how wide he can make a McLaren.
I see Vettel's pulling away.
So gap to Vettel at the moment at 15 seconds. I think he needs to start managing some more.
Right, so they think that Mercedes think that Ferrari's pace is just a little too strong at the moment in terms of making this one-stop strategy work.
Yeah, bearing in mind, of course, Lewis will have the super softs on. A brand new set is spoiled for choice. Having put it in the hedge in qualifying one, he's spoiled for choice in terms of new tyres. He's got as many as he could ever want in one afternoon.
He's got 4 of them to start this race. Felipe Massa settling into a nice position in 5th place at the moment. Fernando Alonso, fair play to Fernando Alonso, has been very much on it this weekend, Martin, keeping within DRS range of the Williams in front of him and keeping within that DRS range through the middle sector, where the McLaren has been a very good car indeed. Hamilton gaining, though, as you can see.
And in Alonso's mirrors will be Louis, as he used to call him to annoy him when they were teammates. It's a good performance from Alonso. Do without that on the camera.
No flies on him, just the camera lens. Sebastian Vettel.
The tires don't feel aggressive. It's moving around a lot, but...
Understood, Kimi, understood. Rear right temp is high, as you've seen. Hopefully it will start to come down.
It's not often that they do, though, and we have track temperature of 58 degrees, so still punishingly hot for the Pirelli tyres. I'm just going to say, Sebastian Vettel, 1:14.1, last lap, 1:14.2 for Bottas. It's 1.8 seconds the gap. Bottas has reduced that a little bit by a couple of tenths in the last 3 laps.
Kimi always sounds so relaxed, and like he's sort of cutting the grass on a sunny Sunday afternoon, trying not to spill his gin and tonic or something.
After seeing Kimi Raikkonen on a lawnmower with you a few years ago, I'd like to see how fast he cuts the grass on a Sunday afternoon.
It was mad. He had his lawnmower was faster than ours.
Right, Massa, Alonso, Hamilton, all the way down to Descido do Lago. And that trio are going to be coming ever closer together. Ted, down to you.
And just looking over to the Williams pit wall, Crofty, and wondering whether Massa's starting to struggle with his tyres or something. He's a bit of a bottleneck now, isn't he? Holding up Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton. He's done a couple of laps in the sort of early 1:15s. Alonso's pace, actually, having been in the 14s, now dropped into the 15s, whereas Hamilton very quick in the mid-14s behind them. So, well, we'll see whether Alonso can get past, and after that, Hamilton.
Yeah, the Williams shall we say, it's a car this season, Martin, that hasn't had the downforce that either of their drivers would like, especially at the rear.
Radio check, 1, 2.
Yeah, radio is back. Radio is back.
Okay. Copy.
Oh, it's a bit like the old days of Radio Luxembourg. He fades in and he fades out. Now he's come back, Brendan Hartley. Excellent. DRS for Alonso and for Hamilton as well. Hamilton still catching the McLaren, but back to the Williams. If it is squirming around, if it is sliding around, those rear tyres, Martin, are not going to be surviving half as long as Felipe Massa would like.
And of course, those starting in the top 10 had to start on the used super soft, so they did Q2 with the second part of qualifying. And Hamilton on a brand new set of the more durable soft compound.
Meanwhile, back with Daniel Ricciardo, who, guess what? He's up into 9th place. He's just got past Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg was looking to see where he was, and then suddenly from out of nowhere, there he is.
Didn't fight that one at all, did he, the Hulk? But if you're new to Formula One, welcome. And just to let you know, the drivers have to use on an all-dry race at least, 2 compounds of tyre. And one of them is mandatory. And it's more complicated than that. Actually, one of a pair. The 2 they'll use anyway. We won't see the white marked.
So there's the medium tyre, the soft tyre, and the super soft. The medium is not a favoured tyre here, but that means that the soft tyre will need to be used and the super soft as well. At some stage. Right, here goes Hamilton on Alonso. He's a lot quicker this time around. He's going to look down the inside here. I don't think Fernando Alonso felt he could really win that fight because he left a nice gap for Lewis Hamilton to slide down the inside and put that Mercedes up into 7th place.
Now, smart from Alonso, because I think he realised he doesn't want to lose the DRS and toe of that Williams. There's no point losing 3 or 4 seconds squabbling with Lewis Hamilton and then losing his real fight, which is Felipe Massa.
Yeah. McLaren...
Because he made this very easy.
McLaren are expecting a day, he did break a little bit earlier, didn't he?
Yeah.
McLaren expecting a day where Fernando Alonso starting 6th on the grid, they didn't expect him to finish 6th. It might just be that they can reappraise that, given the struggles that Felipe Massa seemingly is having with his tyres at the moment.
Definitely got a good front end on that Mercedes, as long as he's not in too close to the car in front. He can climb all over the curbs, can Hamilton. He's got another pesky Mercedes customer car to pass as well, but he will have DRS. And let's see, he should start getting ever closer now.
He is,
and it's going to be a very late break from here.
Well, he's going to have a look, but decides against it. Although it has to be said, Felipe really struggling, Martin, through those corners.
He went in a little bit deep on the brakes, defending fresh air to an extent. Hamilton gets a second bite of the cherry down here, and will he get a run up to the inside?
He's going down the inside. Down the inside he goes. Hamilton now up into the top 5 after starting from the pit lane, and we are on lap 21 of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Felipe Massa drops to 6th, which is a big shame for him because he hasn't had a top 5 finish this season. He's never had a full season without a top 5 finish
so
either.
It's important to close that gap now, please. Close the gap.
And he is closing that gap with a new lap record as well, Valtteri Bottas, with the fastest lap of a 1:13.6. Fastest race lap, and we can see what it looked like from the helicopter. Hamilton on Massa.
So Hamilton's only 17 seconds off the lead now, with some faster tyres at the end of the Grand Prix. He's brought himself right back into play.
Well, he has. So the word from the team at the start of this race was, and I asked them, can you get a podium today? Well, we're going to need a safety car. We've had a safety car, probably came a bit earlier than they expected, but it at least allowed Hamilton to close up. And there's a lot going on that first lap, including, I'll tell you in a minute.
The rear tyres, they're getting warm.
Understood.
All right, so if he's struggling, others might be too, including Romain Grosjean taking out Esteban Ocon. And Grosjean has got a penalty for that, a 10-second time penalty for Romain Grosjean for causing a collision, the collision that took out Esteban Ocon at Ferradura at the Horseshoe.
Grosjean was on the inside. I think that's pretty harsh. In fact, I think it's very harsh. He did cause a collision, but it was being pinched down into the midpoint between turn 6 and 7.
Well, I'm sure we'll see a replay again. Could he have done more to not career into the Force India?
Stayed by the pool this morning. That's about all I can think of, Crofty.
There it is, confirmation that Romain Grosjean, rather than taking a dip, has taken a 10-second time penalty for causing that collision. So, back to Hamilton and what he can do here. Mercedes say, podium, we need a safety car. They've had that safety car. He's now just set a new fastest lap of the race. He's 17.4 seconds behind Sebastian Vettel. He's going to have the faster tyres on when he makes his pit stop. Vettel's going to have to go to the softs. You do wonder whether he can challenge now, not just the top 3, but the top 2.
Oh, absolutely. I think he can, because he's now got clear air in front of him, so it's going to be very interesting to see the sort of lap times he can consistently punch in.
Now, here we go. Dive in.
I got touching turn one by behind. I don't know if I got any damage. Okay, and a nice spin. I don't know what's the car like.
Was Ocon ahead? Should Grosjean have allowed him to carry on being ahead, or did he have the right to fight that back?
Well, he would have had to hit the brake pedal really hard. I don't know. It was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. Whatever he did there, he was going to spin off, basically, into the side of the Force India. But we'll have a look at some more angles. We know the stewards have got different camera angles, different amounts of information, and it's like a referee's decision.
As it is.
It's a matter of judgment.
It probably doesn't make much difference to his race. Grosjean now running 17th and last, and add 10 seconds, it's not going to relegate him down any more places. We've lost, as you just saw, Esteban Ocon from this race. Grosjean's teammate, Kevin Magnussen, also out, along with Stoffel Van Dorn, after those two came together and collided with Daniel Ricciardo on the second corner in the first lap as well. Ricciardo is now up into 9th, and this man has led this race all the way. But is he now starting to come under a bit of a renewed threat from Valtteri Bottas?
And Bottas is getting into the undercut zone, isn't he?
Yeah.
If Mercedes pull the trigger first and get him into the pits before the Ferrari, they could put a lot of pressure on Ferrari. Rubens Barrichello there watching on. Good to see him back in the paddock. Haven't seen him personally all weekend, but what will Mercedes do now to try to put pressure on Ferrari?
Yeah, and if they put pressure on...
I thought he was supposed to pull away from me.
Copy that. Stay behind him and keep pushing. He's faster than us in sector 2.
I'm losing a lot of power.
Copy, Pascal. We're still checking. Keep pushing. The moment pace is still good.
Wehrlein and Ericsson currently running 15th and 16th. But if they do try to trigger the undercut, Valtteri Bottas on Sebastian Vettel, does that actually help Lewis Hamilton and take Vettel into a territory where he might be vulnerable later in the race as well? Intriguing prospects. Ted Kravitz.
Yeah, but Crofty, it's the gaps. There isn't really a gap at the moment, I believe, for Valtteri Bottas to drop back into. It's just really busy around that Alonso, Perez, Ricciardo area. So that's the trouble. We don't know, but Mercedes will know how much Bottas's pace is slower than Hamilton's pace. Is down to the fresher engine Hamilton's got in, and how much is down to the tyre, because Hamilton going great guns on the soft, isn't he? Absolutely brilliant pace on the soft. So Bottas has got that soft pace to look forward to, but Hamilton's long runs on the soft also brilliant on Friday, weren't they?
Another lap or two, though, there'll be a gap just behind Hamilton to drop Bottas back into if they want to go early on the stocks, but it is pretty early, it must be said. There'll be a way, and Vettel does a personal best as well. The gap out 17.
The super soft's looking quite good, huh?
He's on the softs, though.
Yeah, he is, and what he's saying is, look, these guys are still pumping in the lap times, and they are. He's absolutely right. And he's now done a 13.3, another fastest lap as Hamilton, so he's only coming back at them at 2/10 per lap at the moment. That's hence his message.
Yeah, the thing is that's been the case pretty much all weekend long, hasn't it, though? The difference between the soft and the super soft, pace-wise, not a huge amount. Durability-wise, quite a few laps. Pirelli say 10 laps in terms of the durability on that one. It's a 22-second pit stop loss, as it were. So you've got to go back 22 seconds to see if you can feed yourself back into a gap. And to be honest, Bottas is nearing that. Another couple of laps, as you say, Martin. He should be back out in front of Hamilton.
Really good, that Mercedes. He can lean in early. We've got a bit of understeer in this one, but he can really climb all over the curbs when he wants to. Let's see what it's like in Rouchao, the last corner. Oh, we cut off board, sadly.
As we see now, Felipe Massa still with Fernando Alonso right on his tail, and Perez and Ricciardo catching these two as well.
Another reason why Alonso didn't want to lose too much time letting Hamilton through.
No, I'm struggling a lot now.
Copy, Max.
Right, so Verstappen, who's just drifted back from Kimi Raikkonen, now 3.7 seconds behind him. And we're on lap 27 of this 71-lap Brazilian Grand Prix.
And Hamilton, who's now behind Verstappen in the race, just took a second and a half out of him on the previous lap.
Sorry, Tom.
So didn't he just? Right, Vettel leads by 1.6 seconds then from Valtteri Bottas. Someone needs to fade down Ted Kravitz because he's having a private conversation at the moment. And we can focus on Daniel Ricciardo and Sergio Perez. And Ricciardo is now getting to within DRS range of the car in front.
Yeah, this is almost undrivable now.
Okay, copy, Max.
So Verstappen wants to come in, but can they feed him into a decent gap? He'd come out, I think, at the moment ahead of Hülkenberg behind Ricciardo if they pitted him, and that might not be a bad gap to get him in.
It does look like the soft tyres are the ones to be on.
Right, here we go. They've triggered the undercut at Mercedes-Benz, and Valtteri Bottas now pits. Kimi Raikkonen moves up into second place, and a nice swift change by the Mercedes crew. Get Valtteri Bottas back out and on his way again. Verstappen moves up, and Hamilton will as well, as he comes past our commentary box, and Valtteri Bottas can make his left-hand turn down through the pit lane exit and back into this race again. So Felipe Massa also pits. What will be the reaction from Ferrari?
Ferrari have to respond to that, otherwise they're going to lose track position. They have to bring Vettel in this lap, surely, unless they think he's got extra pace for a good few more laps yet. We know how good the Mercedes is working on those soft tyres. They've got that information from Hamilton, who's still pumping in the quick laps, and now 16.6 seconds behind the leader.
So this race is now going to start to take on maybe a new form, a new shape here. Mercedes have triggered the undercut, and Ferrari, have they been caught napping once again? And coming into the pits, Sebastian Vettel, Paul di Resta at Sky Race Control. Should this man have come in before Valtteri Bottas?
You have to play it safe when you're standing there, and I think Ferrari should have pitted before them. They have to just stop. They can control the race, but to lose out for that, it's unreal. We're going to find out very soon. Vettel getting to the end of the pit lane. As we can see, Bottas is heading up on the screens in front of me up into turn one, so it's going to be very, very close.
He's gone past our commentary box. Thank you, Paul. We can see Bottas there. Sebastian Vettel coming out of the pit lane. Bottas on the racetrack. This is going to be very close indeed. Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas, and onto the track comes Vettel, just a few car lengths ahead of the Mercedes, when at one stage he was 1.5 seconds ahead. Have they been caught napping in this race? Sebastian Vettel still out in front of Bottas, but he's going to have to defend now with the Mercedes right behind him.
They've got track position, so they didn't lose out because of it. It's now a question of which of those two cars works best on the yellow marked soft tyre.
That was very, very tight indeed for Ferrari there. And while all that was happening, Daniel Ricciardo and Sergio Perez. Perez knew he was coming, and he couldn't do anything about it. Once again, Ricciardo into that first corner, having a great time this afternoon and putting himself up into 5th place.
Look how much Vettel's gapped the Mercedes on that outlap comfortably.
Yeah. So what at one time was a threat, now is looking a lot more comfortable. Kimi Raikkonen comes in as well. Max Verstappen has been into the pits, and he's dropped back down into 7th place after that pit stop. Raikkonen will come out onto the racetrack. I'm just looking to see who is going to be behind Ricciardo and Perez, and maybe Verstappen as well, because Verstappen was in there a little bit faster. So here come those cars. No, it should be Raikkonen comfortably ahead, and he is.
Yeah, Verstappen's got traffic, unfortunately, so it hasn't worked out perfectly for him, but his tyres gave up and he lost a lot of time. There's Verstappen in the very background.
Yeah, behind Sergio Perez on fresher tyres, and should be getting past the Force India fairly rapidly indeed. So Vettel pulling out a good gap now on Valtteri Bottas, but it's Lewis Hamilton that leads this race. There is Verstappen right up on the rear wing of Sergio Perez. Got fresher tyres. Perez tries to close the gap, but Verstappen, I think, was already through. The horse had very much bolted. Hamilton leads the race. He doesn't have to pit for quite some time as long as he's banging in the lap times.
That was a bold one. Got a lot of trust there in the Force India driver. And still pumping in good lap times though, Hamilton. He's in the low 30s, but it's a 12.996 for Vettel. Bottas 13.2, so Vettel immediately.
Quite a good pace to rear. Doesn't feel spectacular.
Okay, copy. You are still fastest man on track.
Not anymore.
He was until about 10 seconds ago.
So Lewis then still with loads of free air in front of him. He's going to catch Hartley and Stroll, but not for a few laps yet. If he can at least keep pace. I mean, it was the same lap time as Bottas did on a fresh set of those tyres.
Yeah,
it wasn't too shabby at all, actually, as Bono told him.
So the man who won here last year, Martin.
Okay, Dale, so Max is the next guy behind you now, around 3 seconds behind you. He's on fresh, soft tyres. Don't hold him up, please.
Understood.
Yeah, it's a fairly straightforward team order, that one. Right, don't compromise your teammates' race. You're not racing really against him. Hamilton, this time last year, didn't actually make a pit stop to go and win the race. I think he's the only driver ever to win a race by not making a pit stop for fuel or tyres, or the only man for quite some time. I'll check the facts in a minute. But he's going to have to make a pit stop this afternoon. When does he come in? And a safety car in the next few laps, I'm sure would be very much what he wants.
Yeah, absolutely. The 13.4 there for Hamilton makes him slightly quicker. Bottas is struggling on these tyres compared to... This is very significant for the race. The Ferrari will be delighted to see this, that Vettel appears to be happier on these tyres. Vettel only 3.8 seconds behind Hamilton. It's a 22-second stop, 22-second stop here. It's going to be some mighty lappery towards the end that Hamilton needs if he's going to have anything like a look at victory.
First man to win a Grand Prix without stopping for tyres or fuel since Alain Prost in Germany in 1993. I knew I had it written down somewhere, and he didn't make a stop because the race got red flagged a couple of times and he could change tyres in the pit lane when everyone was stood stationary.
In Monaco a few years back, might be wrong, but I would never question your stats.
Well, yeah, but by the time we had that red flag and they changed tyres, the winners and the rest of the podium had already pitted before that.
And he knew. So let's just get a read on this race then. Lewis's pace not good enough.
A quick update. Option paces look good on Hamilton. He's been quite quick, so I think it'll be fine for us too. He has got some blistering, but it's not affecting his pace. And obviously Hamilton is going to be a threat to us at the end of this race.
Right, so Ferrari know that Hamilton is there with a podium chance.
He's Raikkonen's 8 seconds behind Vettel at the moment.
Verstappen gets past Ricciardo, easy swap, as was expected there. So 5th and 6th for Red Bull at the moment. And Ricciardo kept nicely out of the way for his teammate.
Ricciardo put those tyres on, of course, at the end of the first lap, having had contact down at the bottom of the hill right now in turn 2, and so quite clearly following obvious team instructions there, not to hold his teammate up, who's in a completely different mode of race now.
So Esteban Ocon, one of the 3 drivers out of this race, goes over to the pit wall. He's had time to get changed into his civvies and have a little chat with Bradley Joyce's race engineer, Romain Grosjean, with a 10-second penalty for causing that collision. And he is currently in 15th place, is Romain Grosjean, with Brendan Hartley and Lance Stroll behind him. And Raikkonen just set a new fastest lap of this race at 1:12.9, fully 0.4 of a second quicker than his teammate Sebastian Vettel. Ted, down to you.
Slightly frustrated sounding Fernando Alonso has just been on the radio asking what's going on, because he's still stuck after those pit stops behind Felipe Massa. This is because Williams grabbed the initiative and pitted Massa ahead of Alonso.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering why McLaren didn't try the undercut. They might have been sort of set in their ways. They told Alonso earlier on that he was still set for plan A, which we thought was a one-stop, and still set for his target lap time. Just wonder if they were a bit inflexible, and that's meant that Williams stole a march on McLaren, and Alonso still stuck behind Massa. But Massa doing a good job, retaining 8th.
Bottas doesn't like these tyres. Of the top 5, he's slowest driver.
I think the answer to what Ted was just proposing there, and if I could put this theory forward, Ted, if Alonso stays behind and within touch of Felipe Massa, he gets DRS to help his pace, obviously. If he undercuts, then he's ahead of Felipe Massa, not getting that DRS assistance, and would probably be easy pickings once again for Felipe Massa, and in his overall race would probably lose out time in terms of how long it takes him to get from lights out to the checkered flag. That's Carlos Sainz getting past the Sauber, by the way.
Sorry, Crofty, I hear what you're saying, but who's got the slowest straight line speed of anybody this weekend? Exactly.
So that's why you need a bit of DRS to help you.
Nice lap, Kimmy, nice lap, quickest man on track.
And that's the trouble, Martin, that McLaren have got at the moment. They've got a really nice chassis that's working superbly well in the middle sector. But yesterday, Stoffel Van Dorn, slowest in the straight line, was, 10.5 miles an hour slower than Esteban Ocon, who was the quickest.
Indeed. Just looking at Bottas's time, he really is struggling for pace, so Raikkonen catching him very quickly. Hamilton is a net 6th at the moment. Ricciardo has just got into the pit stop zone that somebody's got to look out for. So if he pitted, we know the super softs will do 30 laps comfortably, so if he pits around lap 40, because if you're going to put them on, you want to make maximum use of them.
Exactly.
So presumably, if Hamilton starts catching traffic, which he's not in danger of doing right now, they will come in around lap 40 and put some super softs on that, and hammer time. Max Verstappen now the fastest man on the track.
But is there enough pace advantage from a brand new set of super soft tyres to go and
how you're driving the tyres should be good to the end?
Yeah, we need to catch Massa to have the DRS.
Yeah, that rather backs up what we were saying, to get that DRS to help him out. Perez now pits, a late pit stop there for Sergio Perez. He goes on to the soft compound tyre towards the end of the race. We're just over half race distance here in Interlagos. Lewis Hamilton leads, but he has got another pit stop to come. Sebastian Vettel, Valtteri Bottas, Kimi Raikkonen, Max Verstappen, they have all made their pit stop. What should be their one pit stop in this race. Daniel Ricciardo, we probably think, has got to pit again because he's switched for the soft tyres that he's on at the moment at a very early stage. When did he come in? At the end of lap 1, wasn't it? Daniel Ricciardo, yes it was. So he's going to have to pit again, Martin, and we'll see if both Ricciardo and Hamilton can carry on the charge once they make their stops in this race.
Let's hope so. I know most of you know this, but DRS, drag reduction system, when they're allowed to open their rear wing between two very defined white lines in two places of the racetrack, gives them about 10 to 12 miles an hour extra, and they've got to be within 1 second of the car in front to trigger it. And they get a little beep in their ear, and they know what they can do then.
Bright blue skies overhead here in Interlagos on a gorgeously sunny afternoon in Sao Paulo, and we're riding on board with Carlos Sainz in the yellow, making his way along the hill and up the hill and towards the Sauber in front of him of Pascal Wehrlein, and he's catching and he's catching and he's catching and he's catching at the rate he would have wanted. Those restrictions on the turbo that we were telling you there, I think very much borne out in what we've just seen. You would expect the Renault to have blasted past the Sauber. Didn't happen. He's got DRS now along the Retta Raposta, the opposite straight. Well, this time he does make that overtake move, and he's up into 12th.
It's so annoying when you go to block somebody, you move offline and actually just basically hand them the racing line. They sail straight past you and go, thanks, mate. That's where I wanted to be anyway.
Yeah. Charles Leclerc watching on. Young Ferrari Academy driver, of course, and typical of the Sauber team for next year.
Yeah, he's passing like a train.
Understood, Pascal.
2016 Ferrari engine in that Sauber. It's starting to show, really, the rate of development that we've had in 2017 in terms of the comparable pace. So that's how Sebastian Vettel is gaining on Lewis Hamilton the last couple of laps, actually taking out the gain Hamilton made on lap 35. Difference between them at 3.5 seconds. Although Hamilton, this first sector of this lap, a little bit quicker.
The leaders pitted after around 27, 28 laps off their super soft. They were starting to struggle. Remember, there was quite a lot of safety car laps involved as well. That's why we think it's a little bit early at the moment.
Okay, understood. I think I can hold this.
Yeah, that's good stuff, mate.
So they're saying, yeah, they might have got to lap 30, but some of those were easy behind the safety car. They were also, though, on full tanks of fuel.
This is the battle for 15th. Stroll just trying to dive down the inside of Romain Grosjean into the first corner. Grosjean got the advantage back again. Stroll's not giving up. He lost a lot of time from third practice, did Lance Stroll, when his gearbox seized and affected the power unit, lost all power and had to change his gearbox. Lost a lot of track time as well, which has had a knock-on effect into the race this weekend. And we're riding on board now with Nico Hulkenberg. The car in front of him is Pierre Gasly. Now, Toro Rosso haven't been overly happy with Renault this weekend, so I'm sure they won't be giving up this place without a bit of a fight. Gasly moves to cover the inside. Hulkenberg goes round the outside, though. Smart thinking there from Nico Hulkenberg, and he does move his Renault up into the points. He's now 10th.
Yeah, he took the air off the front of the Sauber as he swept through. But what would you do if you're Mercedes now? You want to win the race. You've already... Let's have another look at this. Gasly goes to cover the inside, and he's kind of no chance really of defending against that car at this point in the race. So you've won the World Championships. You want to win this race as Verstappen does yet another fastest lap of the race. He's on it now. Yep. 14 seconds off Hamilton's lead. Would you think of using Hamilton to back Vettel into Bottas to try to win this race?
Well, that would be the logical answer for me at the moment. I don't think Hamilton's going to win this race, not unless we get a safety car. He's now coming up onto cars to lap, which is going to slow his pace down a little bit. But can you hold up Sebastian Vettel and Ferrari here for long enough to allow Valtteri Bottas to make up the 2.5 seconds that he needs to?
Last lap, 2.8. Perez plus 6.7.
Perez, I don't care. He will come. Nothing we can do. Once we catch Massa, we are in danger.
Okay, let's go get him then.
Okay, I'm surprised you can't see him. Normally you get a couple of reference points around the circuit. Several, actually.
Here's Lance Stroll on Romain Grosjean again. He's locked up going into turn 1, so Grosjean might want to fight this one back again if he can. And there you go. He gets ahead going into turn 1, and then coming out of the centre S's, Romain Grosjean retakes takes the place.
Yeah, he's very brave, Lance. A lot of steering wheel action going on there that loosens the tyres up a bit.
Well, they're going to have to make way, both of these two now, because they'll be showing the blue flags for Hamilton. Yeah, if Mercedes want to win this race, the only way they're going to do it is if Valtteri Bottas wins it.
Jesus, he has good traction. How is this so possible with 30 lap tyres?
If I was Mercedes, I'd get them out, or get Lewis out of here now. He's got a lot of traffic ahead of him.
Well, he has, but if he is going to hold up Sebastian Vettel...
Yeah, I don't think they wouldn't do that. I don't think they'll do that, but... It's a philosophy to help win the race, because Bottas has calmed down a bit on these tyres now.
Yeah. So on Thursday, Hamilton was asked, will you be trying to help your teammate get second place in the championship by beating Sebastian Vettel in this race? And his answer was, well, yeah, if I'm asked to do it. I'm sure Valtteri will want to do it on his own merits, but yeah, okay, if the team ask me, of course I'll do it. Which wasn't to me the most convincing, I'll be driving for a teammate.
Box, we have to retire the car. Box, we have to retire the car. Sorry for that.
Brendan Hartley. Second DNF in a row for the Toro Rosso driver, and I would imagine it's power unit related.
Fragile is a word you'd use if you were being very kind. So Toro Rosso at the end of the season.
And there it goes. Toro Rosso, who have scored 1 point in the last 4 races, and that came through Danny Kvyat in Austin. They're just going through power units elements at the moment, like someone's opened a tin of Christmas chocolates and everyone's just dipping their hands in.
Hamilton lost 1 3/4 seconds passing this pair. Vettel's got to pass them as well, but he did clear them very well.
I've lost time to Vettel.
Yeah, copy. He's got to get through him too.
That doesn't indicate to me that they're in a hurry to bring Hamilton in.
No, I half wondered if they might pit him before he caught these two. Cost him, let's say, well over 1.5 seconds.
I think his Valtteri Bottas is not making much of an impression on Sebastian Vettel either at the moment. As the Ferrari, the red Ferrari, threads its way past the white Williams and the grey Haas. Well, Bottas now 2 seconds. On that last lap, actually, he's managed to pick up 8/10 on Sebastian Vettel. And if Ferrari had pitted before Valtteri Bottas, then Sebastian Vettel would have been a lot further clear, you feel, by allowing Mercedes to steal the initiative and pit 1 lap earlier. That the gap reduced quite significantly. We're watching the battle for 11th here between the one remaining Toro Rosso, Pierre Gasly, and Carlos Sainz.
At the start of the race, they're allowed to use 105 kilograms of fuel. Fuel's measured in weight because that doesn't vary like in volume like it does with temperature, and that's why they punish their tyres a lot more at the start of the race.
It was easy for Carlos Sainz, wasn't it, past his former team?
So I'm still surprised that they're not really, because Ricciardo's got a pit as well, that they don't want to take the maximum out of those super softs that they're going to put on. Right, here we go.
Yeah, so Hamilton now comes in, our race leader who started from the pit lane on those soft compound tyres, comes in to make his one and only change. The super soft tyre goes on. Sebastian Vettel, Valtteri Bottas and Kimi Raikkonen move into the top 3 spots, and Max Verstappen occupies now spot number 4. And Daniel Ricciardo, I think, also is pitting. So Red Bull have decided Ricciardo should pit at exactly the same time as Hamilton. In he comes now. Hamilton then will come back into 5th. And the charge will be on to see if he can go from pit lane to the podium. Ted.
A certain amount of irony there, because they were making sure that they had the gap to Ricciardo, weren't they, Mercedes? And then Ricciardo pits. So but that's a nice stop by both of them, and they're on their way. But just looking a bit further down, a good drive from Pascal Wehrlein, Crofty, if I can alert you to this.
Yes.
He was running earlier behind his teammate Marcus Ericsson, but is actually ahead of him now, and racing Gasly and the Toro Rosso ahead of him, the fight for 12th.
He is.
Quite heavily blistered the left front, although it's a passenger for a lot of this lap, the left front tyre. Can't see it in that shot. And it just basically, because it's being dragged around these long, fast left-handers at the end of the lap, as to why it takes punishment here. It's not the loaded tyre as such.
You can watch a Formula 1 pit crew at work with their pit stops for hours. The symmetry and the movement around, it all gets slowed down. It's a frenetic, violent thing, Martin, but it's incredible how they all work together as one unit and change things so quickly. Lance Stroll, meanwhile, wants to have another go at Romain Grosjean. And this time he's got Max Verstappen getting in the way as he's lapped by the man in 4th place. And Verstappen kind of being held up a little bit by Grosjean through these corners. Grosjean finally does move out the way, but what he wants to take care of is that he doesn't move out the way to the extent that he allows Lance Stroll to slip in as well, and
Let's just keep racing.
There's almost half a gap there for Stroll to feed into.
Can you see some lap times now? Hamilton's in clear air on a fresh set of super softs.
Yeah, Gasly is now just pitted. So his tyres are getting a little bit worn. Vettel has just gone through to complete lap 45 with a time of a 1:13.3, 10th quicker than Valtteri Bottas, 3/10 faster than Kimi Raikkonen. About a second faster as Stroll does go past Grosjean, locks up, and this time I don't think Grosjean will fight this one. As he gets a round of applause from the Williams pit crew, and he moves, does Lance Stroll, up in the 16th place.
Okay, so currently a P5 at the moment. We are chasing a podium.
While he does that, Hamilton has just put in a 1:12.4, 9/10 faster than Sebastian Vettel, 17 and a bit seconds behind the race leader. Fastest lap of the race, fastest lap ever in a race here at Interlagos.
Yeah, he's 8.4 seconds behind Verstappen as well. That's going to be fascinating.
Here's the battle for 6th, Felipe Massa and Daniel Ricciardo, with Fernando Alonso currently in 7th place. You should see him coming through. There he is, right there.
That's put his softs on a lap 27. Ricciardo, as we know, was just pitted on lap 43.
Yeah, so shouldn't be much of a contest, this one. If Felipe Massa's battle is with Fernando Alonso here, the last thing he wants, Martin, is to overuse those tyres. Defending against the Red Bull, Brendan Hartley, and his birthday on Friday, and an engine blow-up to go with it.
16 runners out of the 20 starters, 19 of them on the grid, one in the pit lane, and Hamilton's just done a 12 flat, 12.012, took another 1.1 seconds out of Verstappen.
Yeah, not just Verstappen, but also Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel as well. There goes Ricciardo down the inside on Felipe Massa into turn one. What's that, 6 cars now he's got past going into the first turn today?
Finding a lot of grip down there, isn't it? That looks like the new racing line to me. Tremendous.
It certainly is for Daniel Ricciardo, who's having a whale of a time. Massa tries to find him back, Ricciardo's gone. And he's up into 6th place, started 14th on the grid, got hit by Magnussen.
It's really increasing in turn 3 because I'm all over the place.
It is gusty in 3.
You see the blisters on his left front tyre. When I was telling you, gets dragged along through those fast left-handers at the end of the lap.
Complaining about the wind a little bit, Max Verstappen there, as well as down the inside goes Pierre Gasly on the Williams of Lance Stroll.
Good effort.
Nice one for the young Frenchman. New tyres, of course, for Gasly because he's just made his pit stop. He gets that done. Importantly for him, he gets the overtake made before Hamilton comes up to lap the pair of them. You don't want is to have your chance of an overtake destroyed because there's blue flags being waved. And, right, so we get to Ferradura, and we're seeing it consistently here. The back markers are holding up those.
Fantastic job, Pedro. Fantastic job.
Holding up those, trying to lap them, but can they do better, Martin, to get out of the way, or is that just the nature of the track?
They can. If you remember Lewis when he was being lapped in Mexico, rather bizarrely, he just leapt out of the way. He knows how much pain it takes. And those that have ended up front tend to be very good at being lapped front, because they, as I say, they know the pain. But of course, Lewis lost 1.6 seconds. It was Stroll versus somebody else at the time, was it not? Or was it up against Gasly? But anyway, we've got to get through this traffic. And then, again, there's nobody between him and Verstappen once he passes Gasly.
Yeah, he's lost about 8/10 on that particular lap.
And Gasly should really pull to the left here and let him through.
Yeah, because Stroll is far enough back that he's not going to lose out. Stroll's not going to gain an advantage by him pulling away.
But he stayed on the racing line, but he lifted the gas and gave Lewis the corner. That's fair enough.
Now, this is where Lance Stroll did hold Hamilton up.
Lost another 2 seconds just there. Whether we buy.
Yeah, copy. We saw that.
Family friend, ex-family friend.
Because they are quite good friends, aren't they? Stroll was asked this week who he'd like as a teammate for next year. He said, I wouldn't mind Lewis Hamilton. On that showing, I think Hamilton wouldn't mind Lance Stroll as a teammate because he might move over a bit quicker.
Lewis knows. I mean, if he can carry on punching in the 12s, but that was a 1:13 at 7.
Yeah,
getting through the traffic.
Well, he's got 21 laps to get past Verstappen and Raikkonen and get onto the podium, and he's got 7 seconds behind behind Max Verstappen at the moment.
Flags for the back markers there. Raikkonen beginning to recatch Bottas.
Valtteri Bottas now 3 seconds behind Sebastian Vettel as well. His charge and his chances here as Romain Grosjean hits for Haas, and I think is about to retire from the race because they're not working very speedily on Romain Grosjean's car at all. It's either... Oh, he served his 10-second penalty. That's exactly what he's done. They moved in. Grosjean obviously hadn't pitted to serve that 10-second penalty. So he's now come in. He just sat stationary around him. I wondered if they were going to retire him from the race. But no, he served his 10-second penalty and he's back out into the race and plumb last once again. 10-second penalty for his tangle with Esteban Ocon on the first lap.
Hamilton's sector time is now in clear air. Particularly good as it happens so far, but see if he can get back up and running again, start closing that gap. So 12.6, back into the 12s. Yeah, the only man anywhere near a 1:12.
6 tenths on Verstappen. And that's the gap between Hamilton in 5th and Kimi Räikkönen on the final podium place.
You can just see his next victim, Verstappen, as he comes out of turn 3 as Verstappen goes into this corner, turn 4.
So he's picked people off almost at will throughout this race, but he's got the top point scorer in the last 4 races to get past, and when he does that, if he does that...
Based on Lewis's wear, we're not concerned about your wear.
So you can push a little bit harder, Valtteri, should you so wish. And he's also got Kimi Räikkönen, who's aiming for 3 consecutive podiums for the first time since he was a Lotus driver in China, Bahrain and Spain back in 2013. So there's a lot of motivation for the guys ahead to make it nice and difficult. Not that they need extra motivation, I'm sure. 3.1 seconds, the gap between Vettel and Bottas. The top 3 covered by exactly 5 seconds, and the gap between Verstappen in 4th and Hamilton in 5th is now down to 5 seconds. In clean air, the Mercedes was, what, 1.5 seconds quicker.
So the podium's on, as he's been told. The back markers haven't helped him, but they've all had to clear the back markers, to be fair. Still got 16 cars running. There's a bit of traffic out there, but at the moment, Hamilton's coming back up to Veer line again shortly. You can see him in the distance to lap him. That's a handful.
Box now, Roman. Box now. We have a 10-second penalty. Box now.
For what?
From the Ocon incident, they've given us a...
You must be kidding me. You must be kidding me.
Yeah.
Do you get the feeling that they've only just told him something that we've all known for quite a long time, because they kind of knew what the reaction was going to be?
I think it would have... Might not have driven quite as well, but it looked like his steering wheel was connected to the rear axle, not the front axle, when we went on board. I was about to watch that from behind a pillow. It looked scary.
So, Lewis Hamilton then, on for a podium this afternoon, joining Jarno Trulli, who came 3rd in Australia in 2009, and Sebastian Vettel, who did it in Abu Dhabi in 2012, as getting on the podium from the pit lane, and he is now less than 4 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Ted Kravitz.
Down at Ferrari, Crofty, where they are crossing everything. I've been asking them what Sebastian Vettel's doing. They said that he does have high tyre temperatures, but they are keeping them under control. They also added that the safety car allowed them to be a bit more comfortable on fuel, which is an interesting thought. Maybe they were... It's not fuel limited, this track,
no,
but they always underfill, don't they?
How low can you go?
Exactly. So they're comfortable on fuel because they were behind the safety car earlier on. But as far as they're concerned, Sebastian Vettel just controlling the pace, just needs to keep this 2 or 3 seconds gap to Bottas. But I thought that was key message to Valtteri Bottas. You know, effectively, look, if you are nursing the tyres, Valtteri, don't.
Yeah.
Because we need to see some pace now.
Also,
we've got any chance of winning.
Also don't, Ted, because Kimi Räikkönen's catching Valtteri Bottas too.
Great pace, Räikkönen. Yep. In the 12s now himself. I'm amazed Ferrari told you all that, Ted.
Well, funnily enough, Martin, when you...
2 seconds, Ted.
You ready?
Flat spot.
The flat spot is okay in terms of safety, so no problem.
Yeah, I know it is, but I can't drive because the balance is killing me. The understeer.
Okay.
Yeah, Martin, they've always been very good mid-race at actually giving a lot of information and key information, more than any other team. It just seems to be the rest of the weekend that they shut up shop.
Good work, Ted. Good work.
It's always good to talk. Right. The battle between Hamilton and Verstappen is tantalisingly on our doorstep, Martin. The two drivers who both freely admit that they can't wait to renew rivalry for next year, looking forward to the challenge of one pushing the other and the other pushing the other one back. And we're gonna see a little tussle out on the track in a few laps' time.
I know, but I think Vettel's got it covered up front at the moment. Hamilton's got a chance of anywhere between 2nd and 3rd, I think. I don't think Verstappen will have much of an answer for him.
The tyres feel like rocks. It's so stiff. Unbelievable.
Copy. Do you think you can cope with +1 on your brake balance offset?
No.
So there.
So
a flat no.
Yeah, presumably then he's overheating the front brakes a little bit. He's not particularly happy out there, is he, Max?
He's not enjoyed particularly the balance of this car. Throughout the weekend, he's suffering an awful lot through third practice, which was spinning on the Saturday morning. Sebastian Vettel, meanwhile, he's kind of just gone on with the job. The start's all important. Had that opening, dived down the inside on Valtteri Bottas. Looked a little bit touch and go when he made his pit stop, Martin, and Bottas was a few car lengths behind, but since then has been able to control the race.
Yeah, I do feel he's under control up there. He's not the full-time world champion for no good reason.
And next year, we see if Red Bull have got a car right from the outset, Ricciardo and Verstappen joining the fight, but 2 four-time world champions on the track. You know, hopefully, and fingers crossed, both in cars that can give either of them a 5th world championship.
Max's right rear run hot as well on this comp down.
Yes, right rear, same temperature as you now. Your left rear is nice and cool, but your right rear is the same as he had. He did 28 laps. The temperature is...
Did he hit trouble at the end?
Yes, same as us on the soft, same symptoms as you had on the soft.
Oversteer City.
Yeah.
So Hamilton then 12 seconds off the lead now. It's going to be good.
Yeah, he's 2.5 seconds behind Verstappen. Meanwhile, as you can see there, Fernando Alonso is now within DRS range of Felipe Massa. And so McLaren's strategy, Alonso might have questioned a little bit, has brought him back into contention with the Williams in front of him. If the Williams is struggling at the rear, Alonso might just have a chance here to nick 7th place off Felipe Massa. Now, who would get out of the circuit fastest, I wonder? Fernando Alonso, if he robs Felipe Massa of that 7th place, or the person that wants to tell Romain Grosjean he's got 2 penalty points to go with his 10-second penalty as well.
You can just imagine gritted teeth behind that crash over, can't you? I will catch him. I will get my free lift with DRS to help me compensate for the lack of power. Alonso driving the wheels off the McLaren.
As he has been
all weekend long. Way out. Where you go, Felipe?
Not where he wanted, and certainly not anywhere near the racing line. For Alonso, it's almost everything he does in that car is in spite of the engine. So therefore, it looks, you know, from his point of view, it's like, yeah, this is what I'm doing for the team. This is what I'm bringing to the team. This is why you still need me for next year.
You have to imagine him with the Renault engine behind him in a McLaren. He's going to be on Red Bull pace, isn't he, next year?
Well, you'd hope so, because it's been too long, Martin, since we've seen him on the pace that we want to see Fernando Alonso on. And as we often say, he's too good a talent to be retiring in as many races as he's retired in this season. He's only seen the checkered flag 6 times during the course of 2017.
Indeed. So, yeah, almost identical lap times to Massa and Alonso there. Perez. Alonso said Perez will come, I don't care about him, but actually he hasn't caught them. He's still 3.5 seconds adrift. Hamilton getting very close to Verstappen, there you have it.
Raikkonen's just dropped back a little bit. I think he's had a bit of traffic on this lap from Valtteri Bottas. Hamilton is now in DRS range, Martin, of Max Verstappen. He was a full second quicker on that previous lap. There you can see the silver arrow right behind him.
It's almost like Verstappen was willing the car on from inside the cockpit there.
Back to the go-karting days.
Yeah.
Can see at this part of the track, is there a way past, or does Hamilton just sit tight, bide his time, and know that he should have the pace going up the hill towards the start-finish line?
He knows he needs to treat that Red Bull like any other bull when he's behind it, and then I think he should have, if he saves his goodies, his sweeties up for the top of the hill, his battery pack, and DRS, slipstream, I don't know, is Verstappen be able to do anything about it? Whether it's this lap or the next, we'll wait and find out.
It's gonna happen.
That's what we love about live sport.
We think it's going to come, and Hamilton now can put his foot down and charge after the Red Bull in front. And as you can see, he's gaining. He's got DRS to give him extra assistance. He's got a brand new engine in that Mercedes as well. Verstappen covers off the inside. He's going to force Hamilton the long way round, and he forces Hamilton into a place where the world champion didn't feel that he could overtake. But now, through the center S's and onto the Retta Posta, can Hamilton use DRS once again to blast past the Red Bull? He's alongside and he's ahead. So it cost him 2 or 3 more corners, but eventually Hamilton did get past Verstappen. He's up into 4th place.
So he's going to have to raise his game to stay ahead of Max Verstappen in the future. But at this stage of this race, and with that engine behind him, it was fairly easy with the DRS, wasn't it? Verstappen did all he could to go and cover the non-racing line, and it just opened the way once again for Hamilton.
He forced him the long way round into turn 1. So Hamilton did get past.
All right, nothing you can do about that, Max. So we just need to bring this home now, mate.
Nice work, Lewis. So that's P4.
And he's got 11 laps then to try and get P3. And he's around about 4 seconds behind Kimi Raikkonen, who just set the new personal best lap in this race. 1/10 of a second slower than Hamilton did on lap 59.
He's only 7 seconds behind his teammates.
Yeah, one started on pole, one started from the pit lane. And I'm sure we can discuss that at length.
Safety car helped, of course, to bridge some of the gap, and a few of the midfield tripping over each other. But he certainly has some tremendous pace since then.
He certainly has. Back marker is Carlos Sainz, and he's lapped. We've lapped all the way down to Sainz's teammate Nico Hülkenberg, who is the man in 10th place at the moment, and the last of those on the lead lap. He's a long way behind Sergio Perez. Perez starting to gain a bit on Fernando Alonso now in 8th place. He is. Alonso's still within touching distance of Felipe Massa, who's running in 7th place and who I think is going to appear on the podium for the last time here in Sao Paulo as a Formula One racing driver. The top 3 will be interviewed today, and Felipe Massa as well, which is, I think, a very nice tribute to a man who's given so much to Formula One and, of course, to the Paulistas, of which he is very much a proud one himself over the last 14 years here. Hamilton
1:11.9. Have a word with yourself.
Wow. That is the fastest lap ever here, and the first man into the 1:11s. So Kimi, who set the personal best, is going to have to do a little bit better.
That's an astonishing lap. I guess he can use all the engine modes he likes. Yeah, brand new engine.
Absolutely. Now just over
a race in 10 laps to go. He's spoiled for choice for engines for Abu Dhabi. And they've got that turned up to full beans, haven't they?
Lewis Hamilton comes here. He's won the championship, Martin. He's never won a Grand Prix after he sealed the championship before in that season. And you think, well, what have you got to play for? And he said, well, I want to push. I want to carry on winning races. Obviously, there are records to be broken. And then he has that disappointment in qualifying. But this is, for him and Ricciardo, exactly the sort of race they love. Yeah. Right, go out there and do as much overtaking as you possibly can.
I don't think he's going to win this one, but he can finish second. He'll be up against his teammate towards the very closing stages.
And then what do Mercedes do? Do they want a 1 and 2 in the Drivers' Championship? Because leaving Bottas ahead of Hamilton would help that.
Yeah, but Vettel's out front, don't forget, scoring more points.
In fact, actually, if Hamilton does overtake Valtteri Bottas, that is second place for Sebastian Vettel in the championship. There'd be a 10-point difference, wouldn't there?
Does anybody care? Well, they do.
Look, your old boss once said second is first to the losers.
Can we make a pit stop? Because those guys were horrible.
Max, at the moment, our preference would be to stay out.
Yeah, but I don't think we will stay close. Because within 10 laps, I'm drifting all over the track.
No, I understand, but with the laps remaining, you wouldn't necessarily make up and get back to your track position.
No, sure, but we will stay in fifth anyway, so what's the problem? This is just a lot more difficult to drive.
And that's a good point Verstappen makes.
Yeah, he's 32 seconds ahead of his teammate. The only thing is, if you get a wheel nut issue on the pit stop or whatever, that's the only risk you take. But he's basically saying, look, I'm barely holding on to this thing.
2.1 seconds, the gap between Vettel and Bottas. 1.9 seconds back to Kimi Raikkonen. Lewis Hamilton's set another fastest lap of the race. He's 3 seconds now behind Kimi. And Ted Kravitz, we can head down to you.
Yes, there's some concern over Kimi Raikkonen's rear tyres, just like Verstappen, and Verstappen does pit. It's a free pit stop, so I don't see what the engineer, Gianpiero Lambiase, was worried about. He's going to retain his position, isn't he? Crofty?
Yes, he will easily retain his position, Ted. He was 32 seconds ahead of Ricciardo. Sorry, Crofty's busy chatting up here.
I'm not going crazy, so it's a free pit stop. Why not? I mean, I can understand his point of view. You know, there is a danger of something going wrong, but anyway, at least Max can have some fun. Just a quick one on Sergio Perez. You might have been wondering why he hasn't actually come up and closed the gap on Alonso. I wonder if there's been a bit of fuel saving there, but otherwise, Force India say no dramas on his car, but he's been told to push
Vettel
now.
has been told to manage his tyres, so if there's anything left, let's go and attack him.
Yeah.
I mean, if Hamilton carries on at this rate, he's going to be right with the leader.
Yes.
At the end.
He's got 8 laps. And
Vettel's going to have to re-engage to keep. But, of course, what you've got to take out of that equation is not just the pure mathematics, is that Hamilton has got to pass Raikkonen. Bottas should be an easy one, but...
What I would say, Martin, as well, Vettel is not going to get traffic, so that's not going to come into the equation. And maybe he is just saving engine a little bit and has the ability to turn that up.
An 11.8 for Hamilton now.
Yeah.
They're all the top 4 all in the same short back straight now.
And I was just trying to clear up and put my theory to the test here in the commentary box. I think the reason why GP was saying to Verstappen, well, we don't really want you to pit, is if Hamilton tries to overtake Kimi Raikkonen and it happens, you know, in the last couple of laps, he's not going to be in a position to make up any places if one of those two trip up over each other and get a bit of damage.
He's not, but Bottas can't attack Vettel. Hamilton can, if he gets near enough. I think if Hamilton just clears the Ferrari of Raikkonen immediately without any penalty, I think he's game on to have a run at Vettel.
Well,
but we'll see. It just depends what it costs him now as he coasts up behind third-place man Raikkonen.
So, let's see what the gap is now. 2.4 seconds, Vettel to Bottas, 1.8 seconds back to Raikkonen, 1.6 seconds back to Hamilton. He needed a faster lap than that, but he did manage to get past Nico Hülkenberg, so he's cleared the last of the lap cars that he'll be encountering during the course of this race. Verstappen, after his pit stop, is now on an absolute charge.
And that's why he wanted to pit. He wants to get the fastest lap of the race in that league table.
Sebastian Vettel's the man that's been setting fastest laps recently, 3 in the last 4 races.
How is Hamilton's Mercedes going to perform in the turbulent air kicked out the back of the Ferrari? He can coast up and get through. He's game on. Now 11-0 for Verstappen. That'll take some beating, unless he beats it.
New fastest lap of the race for Max Verstappen. New fastest lap, race lap record here. There you go, Max Verstappen, Red Bull Racing 1:11.0.
And we do know from what we learned in Mexico, he does get a bonus for fastest lap. Christian Horner confirmed that, didn't he?
So is that why Red Bull say we don't want you to pit? And he says, no, I'm coming in. Right.
These tyres, I can barely keep it on the track. Give us some new ones.
Look at that, the top 4, Martin, you can see them all down the main straight. What's the gap? 1.1 seconds. Hamilton behind Raikkonen. He might just, as we go through the next DRS detection zone, be within DRS range, and he might be able to attack Raikkonen just that little bit harder. How's his tyres looking? Does that just pick up on the rear left?
Pick up there, but still nice. In that lovely sheen that you want to see. The left rear is vibrating there under traction, isn't it? So is that indeed? No, that might be a blister in that left rear. It might in the centre, as we saw the tyre vibrating under heavy traction. So we'll try and see it again, see whether it's pick up. But the second time I saw that, it looked more like a blister.
He's going to be within touching distance of Kimi Raikkonen here as we watch shot clear on the Ferrari pit wall, and the engineers trying to give their man whatever advice they can, but the advice is defend now, as Sergio Perez is right on the back of Fernando Alonso as well, and Alonso's actually got closer to Felipe Massa, but we'll go back to this battle between 3rd and 4th.
It's taken Hamilton too long to catch and pass the Ferrari to give him a shot at victory.
He's in DRS range, he's going to have a little go, is he? No, not into turn 1, locks up his tyres into the bargain as well, and then loses a bit of momentum, dropping down the hill through the centre S's, and that'll cost him at the end of the next straight.
Means he's got another lap to do now before he can pass him. Indeed, he does pass him. Driver of the day. I imagine this man might be in somebody's reckoning.
Well, as I said, we've had 2 occasions in Formula One before where a man starting in the pit lane has got onto the podium by the end of it. Could it be a third today?
It cost him dearly. I think he would have been passed into turn 4 had he not have made that mistake into turn 1.
Just looking further down, still Felipe Massa holding off Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez as they make their way towards the start-finish line. Is within touching distance as well. Kimi Raikkonen on for a 90th podium as Fernando Alonso has to defend from Sergio Perez going into the first corner. Maurizio Arrivabene watches on. There's tension here in the closing stages. Valtteri Bottas not challenging and not having to defend much either, but Hamilton, is he close enough to have a go at Kimi Raikkonen with 4 laps remaining?
Nowhere near. I think he's beginning to hurt with his rear tyres. He's losing time. Raikkonen's locked up and gone a little bit wide, but Hamilton lost a little bit there, if anything. In fact, he was the slowest of the top 4 in the turbulent air of that Ferrari, and you just saw him struggling to put the power down as well. He is still in DRS though.
You wonder if he might have picked up a flat spot, Martin, where he locked up before.
Possible.
On board with Kimi Raikkonen, watching the Mercedes from the rear wing behind him. And it must be really hurting the balance and the effectiveness of that Mercedes following so close to the Ferrari through this middle sector here. Lap 68 of 71 in Interlagos on this Sunday afternoon. Sebastian Vettel leading from Valtteri Bottas.
Hamilton not getting off the corners. Just not getting off the corners now.
Yeah, he's just lost that little bit extra. Maybe he just had that one chance. It didn't work out for him, and he might have to settle for 4th place. But there's tension wherever you look in the garages as towards the first corner we go once again. Hamilton too far back to try and challenge Kimi Raikkonen. Ted, down to you.
Yeah, Hamilton's been given a different mode on his steering wheel to give him, quote, a bit more poke.
So he didn't have enough before. They've found the secret mystery magic mode. What's happened here to Lance Stroll?
Left front tyre delaminating. That's the one he was...
Something's on the tyre.
No, it's something out of the tyre, unfortunately. He did talk about the big lock-up earlier on, didn't he, in flat spot. They told him it should be okay. It's not.
He's been, about 5 or 6 laps ago, that one. We can see where it started to really go. Yeah, right there where he locked up again.
Going through the compound of the tyre, down to the carcass of it. And that's what you can see.
Meanwhile, the 2 Saubers still having a good old scrap as well. Wehrlein ahead of Ericsson. But Ericsson was having a little look into turn 1. They're all sliding their way, aren't they, through Junshao. It's an important corner to get good traction out of, because for the next 16 seconds, they're at full blast and at full throttle. 2 laps to go, 2.1 seconds, the gap between Vettel and Bottas. Then it comes to Raikkonen and Hamilton. Hamilton is a lot closer to Kimi Raikkonen, but not in a position to try and make an overtake. Will that happen down into the next braking zone into turn 4 and 5? That's how Hamilton has gained on Raikkonen in that last lap, and he wants to gain that little bit more. He's going to have to come from a long way back. Can't do it on this particular occasion. Looking a little bit further back, still Felipe Massa ahead of Fernando Alonso, ahead of Sergio Perez. That is an absolute cracking battle going on, and Massa holding on to 7th place and his last Brazilian Grand Prix, as we see now from the rear wing of Kimi Raikkonen, just where Lewis Hamilton is starting to struggle a bit, where he's not, Martin, in close enough to have a go.
No, he just can't get the power down. He's got plenty on the straights when you're not grip limited, when the downforce takes over. But he's really struggling. He asked a lot of those tyres with those incredible laps, and I think they're beginning to cry enough. A better fight, as you just pointed out, is Massa, Alonso, Perez, actually.
Yeah. It's absolutely brilliant, but sadly for Fernando Alonso, he just can't get close enough to have a go into turn 1. We're on to the final lap with the leaders now. Hamilton has a look, can't have a go. He's probably got one more chance here on Kimi Raikkonen to try and get onto the podium, and from the pit lane to the podium, what a race that would have been. 4th place is still fairly impressive, but I'm sure he'd love to pick up 117th podium. Doesn't happen into the Skidoo del Lago. Has Kimi managed to fend off Hamilton long enough to pick up his third consecutive podium in Formula One. Behind these, Verstappen going along nicely on his own in fifth. Ricciardo behind him, and Massa still holding off Alonso and Perez as well.
I don't know where he'll get him now. I mean, he'll get a slipstream up the final straight, but look at the way the Mercedes is understeering through there. Front end sliding across the road. That's why these Mercedes are definitely designed to be out front, aren't they?
But the man out in front today, as he took the lead going into the first turn at the start, is Sebastian Vettel, who'd only won one of the last 12 Grand Prix before he came to Interlagos, but to Brazil he came, and he is going to pick up his third win at this track. It's Sebastian Vettel that wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. Bottas comes home for second. Behind them, Kimi Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton from the pit lane, completing the top four.
And Massa, Alonso and Perez did not get lapped. They are now finishing the Grand Prix.
So we will wait to see how that battle unfolds. You've picked him up nicely there. Fernando Alonso almost pushing Felipe Massa along. Massa has been willed along by this capacity crowd at Interlagos, who are desperate to see him win this particular fight on this particular afternoon. The last time he will race here as a Formula One driver at Interlagos, a track where he has won before, where we've seen great emotion before, and where I'm sure he would love to do all his fans proud for one more moment. Perez trying to pick off Alonso, not quite happening, and we go out of Junção now, the final corner to the main straight, and it's Alonso behind Massa. You'll hear the noise, you'll feel the noise as across the line Felipe Massa completes his final Brazilian Grand Prix, and he does hold off Fernando Alonso, who just holds off Sergio Perez. And after the checkered flag, too late for Alonso. He does get past the Williams, but what a great duel that was at the end of this race. Verstappen and Ricciardo fifth and sixth.
Yes, we won it. We won it. Great dive.
Ciao Seb, grande gara.
Grazie ragazzi, grazie. Forza Ferrari.
And Hulkenberg completes the points, coming home in 10th. And I mentioned the two Saubers. Wehrlein was ahead of Ericsson, but at the end, Ericsson did manage to get past until Wehrlein went off the track or not. And there's your victory this afternoon, the third at Interlagos for Sebastian Vettel, who moves ahead of Fernando Alonso in terms of podiums now in Formula One. He's fourth on his own in the all-time list. Mercedes said they feared Ferrari this afternoon, and they were right to do so. Vettel wins, and Felipe Massa gets to finish his final race here, and finish it in some style, Martin.
Great drive. Well done, Felipe. But, you know, Seb Vettel, he had it covered up front. Remember I said you can't win the race in the first corner always, you can lose it? Well, he did really, didn't he? He got the job done. Let's perhaps the donuts a bit. That's got it going. Rotate it around the front axle. Doesn't matter too much about the transmissions at this stage of the year, but they don't like to see you doing too many of those, and the tyre company goes ballistic at you because they think any moment now they're going to be shredded. And a lovely shot there then of Felipe Massa, but Vettel drove an absolutely fine race.
Brilliant job, Felipe. Okay.
Come on, porra!
Great
job. Vamos, porra!
And he beat Alonso for good measure.
Yeah, that one was personal. And I think quite fitting as well. He talked about it with Ted, you know, what happened at the German Grand Prix. And Alonso got past him on that occasion. Ferrari today, Sebastian Vettel holds the steering wheel aloft and gets a good round of applause from the home fans. I think the place is going to erupt when Felipe Massa parks up in a few moments' time.
Pity Hamilton was in the pit lane, isn't it? That would have been quite a fight at the front there.
Yeah. But he did. He got the job done on Valtteri Bottas. And from then on in, there was that moment around the pit stops where it might have been a little more close than he would have wanted.
Knock up into turn one cost Hamilton, didn't it? Yeah. That was the moment he had Raikkonen on the ropes and then let him go. Because I'm absolutely sure he would have passed him with the DRS down into turn 4.
He's got driver of the day, though. They gave him a new engine, told him to go and chase after the pack, and he did that to come home in 4th place. has finished outside. No one has finished on the podium here from outside the top 4 on the grid since 2012. So it was a big ask for him. Valtteri Bottas can still get second place in the championship, but his task is that much harder in Abu Dhabi, the final race in 2 weeks' time. And this I like. Fernando Alonso stands by his car and applauds Felipe Massa as he comes into the pit lane here for the last time. That a nice touch from Fernando there. Because I'm sure Alonso would have loved that fight today as well. Would have loved it more if it had got past him, but would have loved it.
It was a good effort from Alonso, good effort from Massa as well, but one of those parasitic fish. That's what Alonso was, isn't it? He's like, I've got to get there because I want to steal some straight line speed off him.
Yeah.
And then once he helps me out, I'm going to beat him, but he didn't quite manage it.
It's a much better way to quit at your home race than 12 months ago. Felipe Massa gets what he deserves today, the chance, Martin, to bow out in front of his home fans as a point scorer. Not as a man who's retired after crashing in the wet.
And best of the rest after Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull in P7. For what that's worth, but it's still something. Can be looking all agitated and excited there.
Put it this way, for a man who's finished between 8th and 11th in his last 9 starts, that's a decent day for Felipe Massa. Now, I'm not expecting the greatest conversation in the world here between two Finns and Sebastian Vettel, but you never know. We'll wait and see if the conversation starts.
Filipino there, his lad.
As I mentioned, I think Felipe is going to go up onto the podium and he's going to be able to address the home fans after the top 3 interviews. That could take a while. He's got a lot of hands to shake, and this is what it meant to him as he crossed the line.
Daddy, I'm so proud of you, and wherever you go, I will support you. I love you. By the way, I loved your start. Bye, te amo.
Te amo, te amo. Eu amo todos vocês. Thank you, I love you all. Thank you so much. I love all of you guys.
Got to stop doing that. There's a lot of grown men here. Do not want to be hearing that sort of thing because it makes us sound a lot less like grown men. That was beautiful.
Doesn't help.
So the Ferrari crew wait to see Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen emerge into the sunshine. What a good weekend this has been for the Scuderia. The sort of weekend they need after the disappointments that have seen that championship, or both championships, go to Mercedes once again, and the title fight rather drift away in the last few races. Valtteri Bottas started on pole and was hoping to continue the recent record of 4 wins from pole position here in Interlagos, but not today.
Bittersweet for Bottas there in second place. He really needed. He did the job for Mercedes yesterday when Hamilton was otherwise busy in the catch fencing in the wall, and he couldn't quite repeat that today.
Still surely the happiest national anthem that we have played on the podium in Formula One. The Mayor of Sao Paulo presents the winner's trophy then to Sebastian Vettel and Ferrari, winning here at Interlagos for the first time since Felipe Massa back in 2008.
Very close to being my driver of the day, Sebastian Vettel. Had it all under control at the front there.
Constructors' trophy received by Beppe Viatina, who coordinates the garage, looks after all the mechanics during the course of the weekend. Valtteri Bottas picks up another podium. It's bittersweet, as you said, Martin. He's smiling, but he knows that there could have been more on offer for him today. And Kimi Raikkonen, for the third time in a row, is on the podium.
For the second time in a row, no Hamilton.
Right. Fourth place for Hamilton today from the pit lane. Smiles and celebrations for the Scuderia. Victory here at Interlagos. Sebastian Vettel winning for the first time since Hungary. It's time for the Samba Beach. It's what the Scuderia need, Martin, if they can, as they have done, repeat this in Abu Dhabi in a couple of weeks. They go into the winter break thinking, right, we can get them next year.
And it shows you what could have been other than some contact on track and some reliability issues towards the end of the season when they let Hamilton get away. But you're right, it will give them a lot of motivation and satisfaction if they can polish off these last two races before they head into it and take a lot of pressure off the team as well.
Yeah, none of us who are outside, I think, realise the pressure that comes with working for Ferrari and being part of Ferrari. It's the pressure they have to contend with on a daily basis. And let's see who's coming onto the podium now to talk to the drivers. Kai Abel.
Bom dia, Sao Paulo, e muy obrigado. So just starting with the winner, well, Sebastian, isn't that a fantastic payback after Mexico, winning in front of these outstanding audience with an even so outstanding start?
Yeah, it was, initially I had a very good getaway and then I had a bit of wheel spin, so I thought, I missed my chance, but I think Valtteri was struggling even more off the line, so I really had a chance to squeeze down the inside. I think I surprised him a bit, which obviously was very crucial. After that, I think we were pushing for, after the safety car, for the remaining 65 laps flat out. I was really trying to give everything to pull a little bit of a gap, control the race from there, so really happy, I think, especially for the guys in the team back home in Maranello. They've been working so hard. It's been a tough couple of weeks for us, but nice to get it, get it today and have both cars up here.
So great talking to Valtteri. Valtteri, come close to us. Valtteri, up to you as well. I mean, a lot of people dreaming about being in an Italian sandwich, so you're the one up here. Tell me about it.
Well, I didn't want to be sandwiched, honestly. We started from the pole, so of course only goal for us was to win the race today. So very disappointing. We lost it in the race start. After that, it was very, very close between them, and I was trying to put pressure on Sebastian, but it didn't lead to anything more. But I have to say also, Lewis did a great comeback. He got some really good points still. So on to Abu Dhabi.
Obviously not finished with the Finn, coming to another Finn who had the hot breath of Lewis in his neck all the time. How tough was the closing laps, Kimi?
Well, it wasn't all the time, obviously. It was only in the end. And I must admit, I had a little bit tricky balance in the first set. It improved during the end of that first run, and the second set was very good. The car handled very well, and I could catch up with the guys, but it's impossible to get past here if you have this close speed, two cars, and it's. He got close to me. Also, I got close to Sebastian and Valtteri, but I wasn't too worried. I had a pretty good run out of the last corner, so it was okay.
Thank you so much, Kimi. Coming back to you, Seb. I know tonight you're going back home, but I'm pretty sure it will be a shaky flight, which you made maybe some caipirinhas disappear. How much will you celebrate it in the air?
Well, we'll see. I think for now it's great release. Obviously, it's been a tough day, tough race. I just spoke with Valtteri, and I think the pace was we were all more or less the same. It was really difficult, no room for mistakes. really difficult to control the tires the whole race. So yeah, I think it will take a while, and then we'll have a drink here and then see what's coming.
Okay, thanks so much, Sebastian Vettel. And of course, we are in Sao Paulo. We have some special guests here. I know everybody in Sao Paulo will be ready for that. We give a big warm hand and welcome for Mr. Rubinho Barrichello and the one and only Felipe Massa. Ruby, you can just start. The people are waiting for you. It's your audience. Let's get it on with the Brazilians.
Galera, vamos bater palma pro Felipe. Vai, uma salva de palmas para agradecer tudo que ele fez pela gente. Eles pediram para fazer pergunta em inglês antes, porque a gente está na TV. Felipe, just tell us, how was your race? Physical, mental, difficult? How was it?
Bom, primeiro, obrigado a todos vocês. De coração, eu amo vocês, vou sentir muita falta, sem dúvida. Queria agradecer do fundo do meu coração. A emoção que eu senti hoje foi imensa, como a emoção que eu senti o ano passado aqui. Tudo por causa de vocês. Obrigado. É um dia que eu nunca vou esquecer na minha vida. E agora eu falo um pouquinho inglês, porque não tá muito afim, pela verdade. So, I'm really emotional today. Because of all of you guys. So thank you very much for everything that we passed together, for all that the support, the energy that I felt today here, for making the best race I could. And to be honest, I'm so happy for my race. So did the best of the car, what the car could achieve. So thank you very much, all of you guys that we work together. Even that people that I didn't work together, but I love you guys. Thank you so much.
E eu queria falar para você que aqui é um momento especial para mim. Eu assisti você de casa o ano passado, olhando toda essa despedida, e que prazer ter esse público aqui e para mim estar aqui com você. Parabéns por tudo. E fala mais um pouquinho para eles como foi a corrida. Você saiu do carro exausto. Como que estava esse... Olha lá. Aí sim.
Bom, a corrida foi maravilhosa. Eu consegui fazer uma largada incrível. Ultrapassei alguns carros na largada, que foi importantíssimo para o resultado final. Depois teve o safety car. Depois do safety car eu consegui ultrapassar o Alonso, que era muito importante para mim, porque ele tinha um carro, sem dúvida, muito mais rápido no setor do meio, que consumia muito menos pneu do que o meu carro. Mas eu consegui lutar a corrida inteira para ficar na frente dele, do Pérez também. Então foi uma corrida muito difícil, uma corrida onde eu tinha um ritmo inferior ao deles por causa do desgaste de pneu, mas eu dei o meu máximo, acho que isso que importa. E o resultado final foi como uma vitória para mim. Sem dúvida, tiveram vitórias que eu tive o resultado que eu tive na pista foi até inferior ao de hoje. Então, para mim, foi uma vitória, ainda mais na frente de todos vocês que me deram o máximo, toda a energia. Obrigado. Obrigado mesmo, de coração. Valeu.
Valeu, mano. Obrigado pela presença. Thank you all for coming. That was awesome. Tchau, obrigado.